Hello, and welcome everybody. This is the Shy Hat. That's me. And we're doing HackerFrogs AfterSchool Extra Credit today. We're going to be looking at the associated extra credit for Python number 4, Python Workshop number 4. And that said, what we're going to be tackling today is easy Python challenges. So now that we've learned a good amount about Python, we can start solving some online challenges to shore up our education in Python. So the first thing I'd like to point out is the resources we're going to be using today. So we're going to be using this website right here, which is called pythonchallenges.com, and I'll be leaving that in the chat for everybody to take a look at. So Python challenges. So pythonprinciples.com is a relatively new website, it looks like, and there are different lessons that you can look at to learn different Python concepts. Unfortunately, there are very few lessons that are available at the free level. There is a paid tier to this particular service. So you get the introduction, and you get the strings and variables lessons, and then everything after that is part of their paid subscription. So, but the challenges are free, so we're going to be making use of those today. We've got a bunch of challenges here at the lowest difficulty here, which is rated at 2 out of 10. So we're going to be solving these challenges today. But before that, let's take a look at some other resources we're going to be using today. We're going to be using onlinepython.com, which is a fun Python IDE that can be used to mess around with Python code. So you can put your Python code in the main window over here, and then you can run it and see the results in the results window down below. So for example, if you were to run this code over here, it would prompt you to fill in a number and then a second number, and then it would add those together because that's what's in the code. All right. So another thing that we're going to make use of today is we might or may not have time to make use of the JS Linux virtual machine over here, which I can provide a link to. This virtual machine is one where anybody can come along and mess around with some bash inside of a web-based Linux virtual machine, which is very useful for our learning purposes. And another place we can make use of we can play around with Python is inside of Ilhan Idris. Hello, nice to see you again. We're just going to be going over some Python challenges today. I'm glad you could come to join us. All right, so another place we can go to mess around with Python and keep our progress is a place called picoctf.org. picoctf is a very popular CTF platform. It's also very well established. I think it's over a decade old at least. And but of course you're going to need an account in order to interact with picoctf.org. I'll leave a link to this in the chat. So if you were to log into picoctf.org, let me grab my credentials. I think this is it, and I think I might be looking for just this. Okay. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about using picoctf to practice Python is that picoctf lets you have access to a personal web shell. And if you click on the picoctf web shell, you can put it in its own window, in its own web browser tab, that is, with this button right here. And first of all, it's going to ask for your picoctf username, and then you will input your password. And this window is very big. I'm going to make it a little smaller. Okay, and from there you have access to your own little space on the shared public web server. As you can see, I have a lot of different challenges that I'm working on inside of the web shell over here, and it says here that files. Let's see. The web shell is intended for solving picoctf challenges. Any other usage is violations of our terms and conditions. I think they would be okay with people using this the web shell as a place to practice with Python, as long as we're not storing huge files inside of this inside of the web shell, or using up too many resources on the public server. So we could make our own little directory inside of the web shell over here. We could call it. We could use the maker command and make a directory called Python, and then go into it. And anything inside here, we could just we could store our little Python scripts in here for while we practice with Python. So I'm going to create a file called test.py. So of course, when you're working with Python inside of the file system, you have to store your scripts inside of .py files. So it's going to be something.py. So if we were to create a little test. Okay, Ilhan Idris says, when learning cybersecurity, I remember what my lecturer said, that we need to fully understand data communications and networking before getting into cybersecurity. I wouldn't say that you need to fully understand data communications and networking before getting into cybersecurity, but it's something you have to learn alongside of cybersecurity. Eventually, you will need to understand networking and basic computer operations while doing cybersecurity, but you don't need to fully understand everything about networking and computers before doing cybersecurity, because it's kind of a big ask, and that kind of thing would take a very long time. But for beginners, what I would say is that you can start learning some things about cybersecurity, and while you're learning the things about cybersecurity, you have to learn why it is that that you're able to do these things with cybersecurity. So you're learning. I would say that if you don't know a lot about networking and computer IT topics, that you would need to learn them at the same time. So inside of our test.py file, we can just do a simple print, and something like this is Python script. So Ilhan Idris, I'd like to ask you: Are you doing any cybersecurity stuff these days yourself? Are you learning about defer or penetration testing or anything like that? All right, so we'll save this out, and then we'll run it. We'll run test.py with Python test.py. Oh, this is Python script. That's no good. Let's do. Okay, Python scripts. It's spelled correctly now. Let's. All right. So generally, I know a lot of people have been learning Python inside of web-based terminals and IDEs like onlinepython.com and learnpython.org. But it's important to understand how you run Python scripts on your actual device, which is with these files that have the .py file suffix. All right, so let's get to the challenges then. All right, so our first challenge on pythonprinciples.com/challenges over here is going to be this one called capital indexes. So we're going to move through these challenges slowly so that we can understand what's going on. It's very easy. It's very easy to just try to get the answer as soon as possible and kind of cheat out our education. But I would say that that's not the way to go. While we're trying to solve these challenges, we need to understand how the code is working, and so it's beneficial. It's beneficial to us as far as education. So Ilhan Idris is currently learning about path traversal in the website called Portswigger. Okay, all right. I think Portswigger Academy, Web Academy, is a very nice website for learning about web app security. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, I mean, I guess you didn't say that you were enjoying it, but you were learning about it. Does that also mean that you're currently trying out Burp Suite and I guess the Burp Suite Community Edition and learning about how to use that piece of software? Okay, so let's read the challenge over here. So we're going to write a function named capital indexes. The function takes a single parameter, which is a string. Your function should return a list of all the indexes in the string that have capital letters. Okay, so for example here, calling capital indexes with the hello string over here should return the list 0, 2, and 4. So 0 is so index 0 is a capital letter. Index number 2, which is the third one, is also a capital letter, and the last one is a capital letter over here. So that makes sense. What we would need to do in this case is, first of all, we know that we're going to be making a function called capital indexes. So we would use def capital indexes, and then we need to make sure that there's a colon at the end of the line. And inside here, we're going to name our argument over here. And I'm just going to call this my string. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves what we need to do with this function over here. So the function should return a list of all indexes in the string that have capital letters. Okay, so it looks like we need to iterate over the string, and we need to find out which ones are capital letters. So I've prepared a little document. Where's my document? Here it is. So we need to ask ourselves what we need to do to solve this challenge. So number one, we need to iterate over the characters in the string. We need to record string indexes. We need to check if the characters are capitals or not, or I guess they're all assumed to be letters, so we can just say letters. We need to write an if statement that appends to the index list if they are capital letters, and the end of the function will return the list of indexes. All right, so let's take a look at what we can do here. Okay, oh, my list disappeared. Hold on. Enumerate is upper list. Okay, so these are some of the methods we might use. All right, so I guess first of all we should create a list. All right, so the list is going to be capital indexes. So I guess we'll just cap index list is equal to empty list. And then we need to start iterating, right? We need to iterate, so it's if my string oh wait, so for, so it's going to be a for loop, right? So for my string index for I in my string index wait, so how do we the other thing that we can do is let's see. If I don't think this is the way we do it. Okay. So the other thing that we're going to introduce in today's challenges is we're going to introduce asking ChatGPT to help us out because these days it's very easy to ask ChatGPT to write a function for us. In this case, we need to write a function that takes a single parameter, which is a string. The method of asking ChatGPT how to answer questions like this is very important. So if we were to ask ChatGPT something like, write a Python program which iterates over a string and returns a list of into the interview section there is no ChatGPT to help us out. That's true, but while we're learning there is. So while we're learning, what we need to do is we need to solve as many of these challenges as we can, and eventually we'll be able to solve them without referencing other helper programs. Returns a list of indexes where the letters in the string are capital letters. So here, as our good friend Ilhan has told us, we're using some of the methods that he mentioned before. So there's enumerate, there is upper over here, and which one? List, writes, list. That was the other method you mentioned over there. Okay, so what is this program over here? So it's capital indexes. Okay, this is going to be our empty list. Okay, so we're using the enumerate function, and maybe we don't know so much about the enumerate function. We can ask ChatGPT what the enumerate function does. So actually, it says here the enumerate function is used to iterate over the characters of the string along with their indexes. Okay, so that's what that part of the code is doing. So for I character in enumerate string, okay, so it's going to take the argument and it's going to run the enumerate function on it. If character, so this is part of enumerate, is upper, so it's checking here if it's an uppercase character. It's going to do capital indexes, so this list over here, and this list method append I, which is the index. So I stands for index, and char stands for character, and then it's going to return capital indexes over here. All right, so this is a good example of what could be a solution to this problem over here. So we can copy this and go back to the challenge. We can't really use this this code as is because we need to change the name of the function, because the challenge is actually checking if the name of the function is the one that they prescribe, which is capital indexes. Okay, so capital indexes. So there's going to be capital indexes. So we're just gonna, just for the sake of not having the same thing named twice exactly. So cap indexes is the empty list, and then for I index, car, character, and enumerate string, if car dot is upper, this is if it's going to check if it is upper, which is due to true or false, and if it's true, it's going to do capital indexes dot append. So it's going to add that index to the capital indexes list. Okay, and then after it's all done, it's going to return capital indexes, this list over here. So we renamed that, so we need to rename it down here as well, cap indexes. Okay, so if we run this code, so what we can do before we submit this is we can check it inside of the online Python beta over here. And then we can print capital indexes with a string, and we'll supply the string hello. So if this is working correctly, then only index 0 should show up as a capital letter, and that's what should be returned. So this says here, function object has no attribute append. So that's line number 5. Ah, okay. We need to, if you rename the variable over here, you need to check the code for all instances of the variable and make sure that everything is consistent. So let's try that again. Okay, so this is the desired output over here. So this should be the correct code right here. We can copy it. And we can supply it to the challenge page. And then run the code. So it says your solution was correct. You have now completed this challenge. We can also look at show this button here, show example solutions. If we click on that, we can get a different method of solving the challenge here. So sometimes we can learn a lot from seeing other people's code and different ways to solve the exercise. So in this case, we're checking if the character. Let's see. Ilhan says, "Have you tried Programmiz website?" Programmiz. Let's search for that. So Google Programmiz Python. Programmiz Python. So online Python compiler. Is this what you're referring to? This looks very similar to the online Python website that we're using right now, but it's good to. Is that Thai? I can't tell what language this is. They have a coding course. Interesting. Wait, I need to close out of this. They have a coding course. That's very interesting. Is that on the? The question is the coding course free? Because what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for free, free education materials for students. So let's see. So learn Python, enroll for free. But is this free, or does it give you like, does it give you like 1 or 2 lessons and then it makes you pay for the rest of it? I'll investigate this a little later. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elhan. Okay, let's go back to the challenges. So this is a method of solving this challenges where we're looking for capital letters, and we're comparing the characters against this list over here. So if it's in here, let's see, then we were going to append. So if L in, okay. So if this character is contained within this list, this string right here, then we can append it to the result. Okay, so let's see. I am currently learning C from that website. Actually, there was a number of different resources for learning C that I compiled for inside of the HackerFrogs Reddit page. So let's go to the HackerFrogs Reddit. So reddit.com, HackerFrogs. So let's see. Low-level language resources. This topic right here. I'll paste this in chat. You can take a look at yourself. Ilhan, do you use Reddit? If you do, so C program. So Codecademy has a bunch of little free courses that you can take for learning C, and there's also the learnc.org website, which is a lot like learnpython.org, only it's C. So that's going to be learn-c.org. I'm pretty sure that's it. So this is a lot like the learnpython.org website, only it's C. Of course, here you can't really run the program inside the windows, but when you click on the Start Exercise button, then you can play around with your code, and you can run the code. So we're doing Hello World. Just for your information for learning C. Okay, but you use, let's see, Program Wiz, this website right here for learning C language. That's very cool, and I'll definitely check out this the Python learning path over here to see if there's enough good material here that's for free. Because I'm all about providing students with free resources. Okay, so there's a shorter version of the that does the same thing over here. So from string import uppercase. So here we're talking about importing modules. So string is the name of the module, and it has a function, I suppose, that's called uppercase. So we're going to create a function over here called capital indexes with the S as the argument string. So return I for I in range, length of S, which is the string. If string index I in uppercase, then it's going to return true. I wonder I'm going to copy this and play around with it a little bit. So capital indexes. So if this works, this should return 0, the 0 in the list, and that's it. Okay, so uppercase is not defined. I wonder if oh wait, we need to hold on. We need to import the module here. Okay, let's do that. Okay, and now we run it. Can I import uppercase from string? So the question is string a standard module in the standard Python library? Let's ask ChatGPT. Okay, the string module is part of the standard Python library. Okay. It has a lot of different constants and classes for dealing with strings. Okay, so let's go back here. From string, import uppercase. I wonder why this doesn't work. But anyways, let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next challenge. We've already been working on this for about half an hour. Okay, so next challenge. Okay, the next challenge is called middle letter. Okay, in this challenge, we're going to write a function named mid that takes a string as its parameter. So your function should extract and return the middle letter. If there is no middle letter, your function should return the empty string. Okay, so for example here, mid with the string ABC should return B, and mid AAAA should return empty string. All right, so how would we start this? So first we would need to define mid. Okay, and we need to, let's just keep track of the string. We're just going to call it my string. And this is going to, this should be called my string. And this should be called, we'll call this one mid letter. And we'll initialize it to an empty string. So first of all, we need to check if the length of the string is even, and if it is, we need to break out of there. Because if it is, then we have to return the empty string. So what we do is we do if my string modulo 2 equals 0. So if my string divided by 2 equals 0, then we need to break. And then the final instruction has to be return mid letter. So what goes in the middle over here is that we have to find the middle character. The middle character of the string, and the middle character of the string is going to be the length of the string divided by 2. So it's going to be So length my string. And it's going to be divided by 2. But we need to... Okay, so mid letter. Okay, so what do we need to do here? So the middle letter needs to be recorded, okay? So we need to check if the length of the string is even and break if it is. We need to identify the midpoint letter in the string and return it. So the midpoint letter in the string, so it's going to be the length of my string divided by 2. So that's going to be the midpoint. The midpoint is length of my string divided by 2. So it's going to be my string, and it's going to be the index, which is equal to length of my string divided by 2. Is this going to give us what we want? Okay, let's do a little bit of experimentation here. So this should not be called midpoint, this should be called mid-letter, because we're going to assign it according to my string, length of my string, divided by 2. Okay, and let's do a little print statement. That is mid, and we're going to do ABC. So if this is working correctly, then it should return the letter B. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so break outside of loop. So this is so we need to iterate over this. Well, this is another, this we can also ask ChatGPT what is wrong with the code. And this is another thing that we can do. So what is wrong with this code? We're looking for the middle letter with this function. Okay, so the break statement is used outside of the loop context. Break is used to exit loop prematurely, but there's no loop in the prototype code. The condition if my string is divisible by 2, which doesn't make sense because oh, we're looking for the length of my string. Okay. Right. Okay, so we're looking for the length of my string. Okay. Modulo 2 equals 0. Okay, let's go back to here. So we should use else here. Okay, so mid letter is the empty string, but if the length of my string divided by 2 is equal to 0, then mid letter is also going to be the empty string, or else the middle letter equals my string, okay, which is the argument, index. Oh, but if we do this, it's going to return an index number and not a letter. Oh wait, it does return. It does return a letter. Okay. Okay. All right, so this is the correct. This will get the job done. Okay. So what's happening here? Let's walk through it. So mid is the name of the function. It takes a string called myString as the argument. So we're going to define the middle letter as the empty string. So if the length of myString, so the length of the string modulo by 2 is equal to 0, which means that it's an even number, then the mid letter is going to remain the empty string. Otherwise, the mid letter is going to be equal to the argument and the index of the argument, where the length of my string divided by 2. And then we're going to return the middle letter, and that's all she wrote. Okay, so here, let's make this an even number of characters. So if we run this time, then we should receive empty string as the result. Okay, and it does. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to the challenge and submit that as the answer. So I will admit to everybody here that I'm not the best with Python, but and usually my code looks a lot uglier than more elegant solutions. But yeah, we're all kind of learning here. All right, so here's the example solution. So the mid function here is if length of string, okay, divided by modulo 2 is equal to 0. It's going to return empty string. Okay, so this is this looks a lot more efficient than the way I did it. So this is the same check that I did to check if the length of the string is even. So it's going to return this. Otherwise, it's going to return string. What is it? String index length of string divided by 2, which is also what we included in our code. Okay, cool. All right, so let's move on to the next challenge. Okay, so this is online statuses. So we actually went through this one earlier in the last Python workshop, but now we're going to try to solve it for realsies this time. Okay, so what are we doing? So Ilhan says some people's learning method is not by doing tutorials, but by doing a project. The one my friend does, it is easier to understand by doing a project than tutorial, he said. Well, people learn in different ways. So some people learn by doing examples over and over again. Some people can only learn if they're getting hands-on on the keyboard and they're just experimenting. And there are some people who learn very well by reading books. I I myself, I'm a person who learns by doing the same things over and over again. So eventually, my brain starts to connect A and B together. But yeah, I mean, I've never tried writing a very like large project using Python, but I think I really should, just to say that I did it, and to be able to put something on GitHub maybe. Do you use GitHub, Ilhan? GitHub is a great place to record projects that you're working on, and it's a place that you can direct your employers to when they ask you what you've worked on as far as your education is concerned. Cool, awesome. I like to hear that. Yeah, I've got a GitHub associated with HackerFrogs. But it's mostly just like a bunch of the education materials, like the PDF files that I show during the classes. It's essential to have GitHub for developers. That's true. That's true. I 100% agree with that. So, okay, so what are we doing in this challenge? So the aim of the challenge is given a dictionary of people's online status to count the number of people who are online. Okay, so we're going to consider the following dictionary. So first of all, let's copy this dictionary and let's paste this into our code. So in this case, the number of people online is 2. So it's going to count the number of people who are online. So basically what we need to do is we need to count the number of times that the word online occurs inside of the dictionary. So we're going to write a function called online count that takes one parameter. The parameter is the dictionary that maps from strings of the names to the string online or offline as seen above. Okay, so your function should return the number of people who are online. All right, so in this challenge, so we need to include a counter variable. So we need to include the number of times the word online is included because that's what we need to return at the end of the function. So the counter will increase when the online string is found. Okay, the dictionary needs to be iterated over. All right, so with these concerns in mind, let's write the code. Okay, so the function is going to be called online count. We need to define it, and we need to put a comma and we need to include the arguments, which is my dictionary, I guess. Okay. So what we're doing is we're iterating over a dictionary. Oh, first of all, we should initialize the count. So we're going to initialize the count at 0. And then we need to iterate over the dictionary. So what is it? So for key value in my dict. Yeah, we did this in practice 2 days ago, but we didn't finish it, so I'd like to finish it now. So key value in my dict dot items. So if value is equal to the string online, then count plus equals 1. And then at the end of the function, we have to return count. Okay, so before we submit this, let's test it out inside of the Python window here. Okay, so my dictionary is what we're using here, and count equals 0, so we have to initialize count. And then for the key value in myitems.dict. If the value is equal to online, then we're going to add to the count. So in this case, there are two strings here that say online, so the count should be 2 if we were to print it out. So online count with dictionary here is called statuses. Okay, so if we run this, then it should return the number 2. Okay, and it does. All right, that's a rare first win for us. Okay. So before we submit this, let's go over what the function is doing. Okay, so online count with the argument myDictionary. In this case, the count is going to be equal to 0. We have to initialize that because we're looking for the number of times the word online occurs. So for key value, comma value in this myDictionary.items. So remember that we can't iterate over dictionaries in the regular way. We have to use the .items method in order to do so, and we're checking if the value is equal to online, and if it is, then we add to the count, and then we return the count. All right, so let's paste the code in and then run the code. And let's take a look at the example solutions over here. All right, I think we have time for one last challenge before we wrap up the stream. So the long version is, so the count is equal to 0. Okay, so for person status, okay, so this is stands in for the key and the value in the dictionary.items. Okay, so this is the same as what we did. If status equals online, so this is exactly what we did in this version. So the short version, I don't especially understand what's going on here, but maybe we'll go over that a little bit later. Okay, let's solve the last challenge. Not the last challenge, but the last challenge that we're going to be. Oh, this is super easy. Okay, so this challenge over here is called randomness. So we're going to define a number, random number, that takes no parameters. The function must generate a random integer between 1 and 100, both inclusive, and return it. Okay, so calling the function multiple times should usually return different numbers. Okay, so this is introducing people to the concept. Well, this is not the only place where we introduce people to the concept of importing modules, but there is a module called random that we can use to solve this. Okay, so if we were to ask ChatGPT, what module can we use with Python to return random integers? Okay, we can use the random module to generate random integers. The random module has several functions, and so this is the function that we're looking for inside of the random module. It's called randint. Random.choice. That's okay. We could also. So randint is randint is the function where we can just supply the lower end and the minimum and the maximum number for the integer over here. Okay, so random.choice. Okay, what is the choice function in the random module in Python. Choice function is used to select a random element from a non-empty sequence, such as a list, tuple, or string. Oh, okay. So this is not necessarily for integers, but you can also choose between different strings inside of a list. Okay. All right. So if we were to choose like a random string inside of the list over here, we could use the random.choice function. Okay. All right. So let's quickly answer the challenge over here. So random.int, randint. I do believe this is randint, and it would be 100. So first of all, we need to import random, and then we need to define random number. We just need to return random dot randint 1 to 100, and that's all we need to do. Okay. So done this code before by doing a dice roller Python program. Okay, so the dice roller Python program, was that a different or was that a different module from the random one, or is it the same one, or was it random.choice? So this is the exact code that we used right here inside of the example solution. Okay, so let's since that was really short, let's do one more. Whoops. Okay, so this is type check. Okay, so we're going to write a function named onlyInts that takes 2 parameters. Okay, the function should return true if both parameters are integers and false otherwise. So for example, calling onlyInts 1, 2 should return true, while calling onlyInts a 1 should return false. So what are we doing here? We need to check the data types of the 2 arguments, and we need to write an if and statement for this challenge right here. All right, so type, yes, it's the type function, the built-in one. Okay, so we're going to define onlyInts, and it's going to take 2 parameters, a, b. So it's going to be if type a is equal to int and type b is equal to int. Return true. Else return false. Okay, I think this is what we want. So we're checking the type, if type A is equal to integer and type B is equal to integer, and if both are true, then it's going to return true, or else it's going to return false. So let's try printing out only ints with 1 and 2. So if it's true, then when we run this, it should return, it should print true. Okay, and it does. All right, and then we need to test whether or not this is going to return false if we insert the A string over here, which means that the if statement should return false, and then we should get false as the print. Okay, awesome. All right, so over here, okay, so this is the code. Let's run it. All right, that was the correct solution. So let's see the example solution here. Okay, so this is a simplified version in the example solution. So return type. Okay, so this skips the true or false, and it's just going to return if it's true. But if it doesn't return that it's true, if this statement is not true, then it's going to return false. Otherwise, it comes back true. So this is a more elegant solution to the problem. Okay. All right. So that's the final challenge we're going to be covering today. But yeah. So we're going to just deviate off onto different topics. Ilhan Idris asks, what is the topic for next week's stream? So on Monday, for the HackerFrogs AfterSchool, for the HackerFrogs AfterSchool workshop, we're going to be doing the final Python session covering modules and libraries for Python. And on Wednesday, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, but after next week, the Python section for HackerFrogs AfterSchool is going to be complete, and we're going to be moving on to web app hacking as the next topic. So I guess what we could do is we could either do another Python challenge solving stream where we work through Python challenges, or we could do an introduction to web app. But an introduction to web app is a bit, it's maybe not so great. But what was it? Portswigger.com. It's .net, right? So before we end, let's talk about what Ilhan has been learning. So you've been going over the academy over here, right? So Ilhan, may I ask, what did you complete any of the sections for the web security course over here? So they've got a lot of different topics over here, and I think you were saying we're talking about no, it's in progress. Which topic were you going through right now? Was it request smuggling, or was it oh, path traversal, right? Okay. Let me start my music back up. So were you doing path traversal, or were you doing SQL injection? Because they TryHackMe just came out with a new room on path traversal stuff and local file inclusion, I'm pretty sure. So TryHackMe. So we can search, right? Without being online. Okay, so we could do this. Right here. So path inclusion, path traversal, right here. So Ilhan, if you want a preview of what we're going to be learning inside the HackerFrogs course for web app hacking, all the videos are already online over here. So web app hacking. So we start by doing a lot of over-the-wire NATAs. And if do you have experience with over-the-wire NATAs? It's actually a pretty good CTF game. Let's see. So over-the-wire. So I've left the link in the chat. Well, this is really big. Let me check this down. But it basically starts off with level 0 over here, with NATA 0 and NATA 0 as the username and passwords. So if you were to go over here, so I'll just do a preview of the first level right here because it's very short. So each level in NATAs that you log into over here, it's going to ask you for a username and password. The username is always going to be NATAs plus the level number. So here it's NATAs 0. And in this case, NATAs 0 is also the password. So the challenge in each of these NATAs levels is to find the password for the next level. So the password, you're always going to be exploiting some sort of web app vulnerability to find the password. Of course, right here you see that there's no password on the page, but it says here that you can find the password for the next level on this page. Ilhan, you probably know what are some of the first steps you would do when you're doing web app hacking for inspecting a web page. So Ilhan, what are some things that you would do? So you've got this web page over here, and it's not. You want to find some more information about the website. What would you do? So this is something I don't mention in the video, but one thing that you can do when you've got like a website and what you want to do is you want to find out some information about it, is you don't necessarily find the direct. Oh, okay. So by find the directory, you mean like directory busting, right? But maybe what is something that's a little bit more basic than doing directory busting on a web page? So I'm going to look for my command line, cmd. So inside of the command line here, you can use the curl program, and curl can be it's on Windows as well as Linux, so that's a nice thing that we don't necessarily have to be using Linux to use this command. So it's curl and then the name of the website, and I usually use the double V command with curl so that we can get like more information when we curl a page down. And what this is going to do is it's going to return all of the HTTP requests and responses. So in this case, it shows us all of the steps for retrieving the web page over here. So these are all. This is all part of the HTTP request right here. This is something that you're going to have to learn more about if you want to do more web app hacking. But it's actually very interesting because everybody uses web browsers, everybody surfs to web pages, and learning about. Oh wait, I didn't get. Okay, this didn't happen actually because I didn't supply the username and the password. This is something you have to supply when you're using curl. But so we can ask our good friend ChatGPT And this is actually one of the best uses of ChatGPT, is to ask how to use certain commands. When using curl to retrieve web pages, how do we include basic authentication? Okay, so in this case, so it's curl-u, and then the username, and then a colon and the password. Okay, so let's do that. So the username is not a 0, and the password is not a 0. Okay, so if we do this, all right. So what was it? So this is the beginning of our command right here. And then we connect on port 80. Okay, so we connect with the basic auth as not a 0 username. And then we use this this password, which has been converted using base64 encoding. And then it says okay. And then it sends us the contents of the web page over here. So this stuff right here has nothing to do with the challenge. It says here you can find the password for the next level on this page. It also has a HTTP comment right here. And inside the comment it says the password for Natus1 is this. And this is the password for the next level. So that's the first part of the web app hacking lesson, is that we have to know how to look into, what was it? Where is my Natus? Is we have to be able to look at source code. So view page source. This is the first one right here. So knowing how to do this in the browser is useful. But knowing how to do it inside of the command line using curl is also very useful. So curl is actually something that that people use a lot inside of different projects when they want to retrieve information from web pages. So now that we have this information, we can move on to the next level, which is Natus1, and we can go there by just changing out the URL at the top to read, instead of Natus0, to read Natus1. And then when we navigate to the page, then we supply the username, which is Natus1, because we're on level 1 of the game, and we supply the password that we got from the last level. And that's going to let us log into the page. So you can find the password from the next level on this page, but right-clicking has been blocked. So normally the easy way to access the HTTP source would be to right-click and then select View Source. But here on this page it says right-clicking has been blocked, so we have to find another way. So what could be this other way to do it? So this is where we would have to do some research. Of course, you can, okay, so this is not it. We could always just use curl. This would be one method of doing it. So it would be Natus1 plus the password we just got, just like that. So this would be one method. Wait, did I supply a bad password? Oh, no, the URL is wrong. So it has to be Natus. Okay, so this should work. Okay, so this is a lesson on how to get around roadblocks. So basically, if the right-clicking method has been blocked, you have to find another method to do the same thing. So you could use curl, which gets you the password over here, or you could just look it up on Google, or you can ask ChatGPT. in the Chrome web browser, what keyboard shortcut to see HTTP source. So it's going to be Control U, right? So, and we can also find this by doing a Google search. Chrome web browser keyboard shortcut. So it also says Control U. Okay. So if we go here and then we Control U, then we can also access this without using the right click. So that's it's a lot of stuff like this. It gets more complex as we go up in levels, but yeah, that's the type of stuff we're going to be working on starting in March probably. But next week it's going to be the final chapter, the final lesson for Python. But thanks for showing up, Ilhan. I appreciate having some people to talk to while we solve these challenges. And I'm very interested in your cybersecurity education and how you're going about doing training. And thank you for the Program Is website. I'm going to be taking a look at it after stream to see if it's suitable for recommending to learners later. All right, so with that, we're going to be finishing out the stream. But thank you very much to everybody for coming by and saying hi. I am the Shy Hat, and I run the HackerFrogs AfterSchool cybersecurity YouTube channel. You can find all of the videos for the HackerFrogs AfterSchool program on the YouTube page, and we will see you next week. Okay, so until then, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.